This week on the Derek's Live, we got some big announcements for you and a special guest in the studio. We got Grumpy Addison with us tonight. Let's go. What's going on? Welcome to the Derek's Live, a podcast for badass parents. I'm your host, Sean, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, lovely co-host, Emily, and our very grumpy Tyler tonight, Addie. Oh, if looks could kill. You'll have to watch this one by video because it's going to be special. She is,
She's having a night. How are you doing tonight?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Full disclosure, I tried to maintain control of the toddler throughout the episode, but she did not want nothing to do with what Daddy was putting down. So she was like, no, I want my mommy tonight. So.
Well, this is our third take.
Third take, yeah.
We started and she came in very upset.
Yeah, like the minute we hit the record button for take one, she was at the door. So it's about 11:30 here on the East Coast tonight. So, you know, living the dream. We're mom and dad too. So in the trenches just like you guys. And man, there's never a dull moment, is there?
Nope, it's real life. So we have a special episode for you guys tonight. We're going to just kind of catch up a little bit and talk about some things that have been going on. And then we've got a couple of cool announcements and some things that we want to just share with you guys.
Yeah, what she said. Well, we got back from a cruise last week. We got to get away for Emily's birthday this year. It was nice.
Yeah, we took 5 days.
Oh yes,
just the two of us. And
thanks, Mom, for keeping the kids.
Yeah, Grandma kept the babies, and we went to Key West and to Cozumel, and it was very peaceful and relaxing. So it was a much needed break.
Fantastic.
And definitely a good break before we go into all of the craziness that we're fixing to go into.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now, isn't there?
A lot.
It's been really cool. We've been doing some things just to get the episodes organized and really try to take the podcast to the next level. And I was going back over the notes, and it's just looking at all the notes from the first couple episodes. It's really cool to see how over these last like 5 or 6 months, things have really played out, and we're really living it out. And so we wanted to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about some of the things that are happening because of those non-negotiables in our life, and just encourage you not to quit where you're at. There's some other big stuff going on too, but I think something that's pretty cool. Emily is, she's going to start a yoga company.
Yeah. So we live in a really small town, and there's not a lot of things for moms.
Activities. Let's just say activities.
There's not a lot of activities.
There's not a lot of activities, which is okay. We love our rural little town that we're in, but Emily had kind of just mentioned this idea that she had a couple weeks ago, and I guess has it been a couple weeks, couple months? I don't know how long.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It was like before Christmas time, so not a long time. And I really just kind of mentioned like, oh, this would be a fun thing. And you kind of took it and ran with it as like, no, you should definitely do this.
Were you a little bit mad at me at first? Like, cause I know you made like this comment at one point, like, no, I just want to get together with moms. I don't want to have a business.
It's intimidating when there's a business,
right?
Like when you have to have a business plan and like the logo and the insurance, and like it took it out of perspective. I think for me, like I was like, hold on, I just want to do yoga. Someone else teach the class. I'll just show up. But there isn't there. Like I've looked and there's not So I had this idea to do like a mommy and me style yoga class because it's really been beneficial in our day to day. And I have found like so much enjoyment from it and so much, I don't know, I've just kind of found my health and found my passion to be healthy again doing yoga.
It kind of started with 75 Hard because
It
with
did.
75 Hard, you have to do
Two workouts.
2 workouts a day. And you just started using like a yoga workout as one of your 45s. Which sounds like not a workout. I'm not going to lie. The first time I heard that, I was like, that's not a workout, Emily. That doesn't count. And then I had to do yoga with her one time. She's like, no, this is a fucking workout. Come try it. And I was like dying. I was like, all right, you win this argument.
So like I did it's a 47-minute class that I just follow on YouTube. And I am more sore doing the 47-minute yoga class than walking or jogging for an hour.
Yeah.
Like no joke. Because it hits different parts of your body, especially that you're not used to using.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's definitely a mental aspect to it that I think I really needed, and I don't think I realized how much I needed.
Just like the calming side of yoga, like the peacefulness of it.
Yeah, the breathing and isolating. So when you study yoga, part of it is understanding like how to isolate your breath and how to and when you do it, you only think about what you're doing in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So as a busy mom, I'm not thinking about the 15 things that are still on my kitchen counter and the load of laundry that's still in the dryer. And like, I have to vacuum again for the 3rd time today.
It removes you from your situation that you're in and kind of causes you to like pull into that thing, right?
So
right
it
away.
helped me focus for just a little bit on my health and where I was at. And it sounds crazy, but it allowed me to focus more on the stuff outside of that, because I knew that when I was done, I would have a little, burst of energy to get something done.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to think about it. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started incorporating it in our homeschool, and it's not a 45-minute, like all intense. It's like a 15-minute with a dance break.
Yeah, and the girls are loving it. It's been really cool to watch them and pull that in. So,
and it's been like a secret weapon.
Yeah,
it's kind of helped us focus. When we're having a hard time sitting still, it gives us kind of an excuse. Oh, let's go dance and do freeze dance and floor is lava and a lot of those incorporate very basic yoga moves, but still yoga. And it's like the whole idea is like, you have to hold this and think about how you have to hold the position.
Well, it makes them do the same thing as far as pulling them in and focusing on something. And it kind of takes them out of the craziness of the day and gives it some focus. So
it's been really successful.
Yeah.
So all of that to say, we're starting a little yoga class business.
Yeah, and so we don't even have a name for it yet or anything like that. Do you? Have you come up with a name? I didn't think you had. We've talked to like a local ballet studio that is going to allow us to sublease their space and use their space. So we'll have some announcements coming out on when Emily's starting that first class pretty soon. But it's really exciting. LLCs, we filed the LLC already, and we'll do a DBA for the business probably. So, but a lot of these things like I know Emily said she was kind of intimidated, but it's really not difficult. I mean, I think that there's a lot of people that shy away from starting their own business because they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
But guys, it's not difficult. It really isn't. And I think you see all of these services online and how much they charge for crap. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh my God, how does anybody afford to start a business? But they're catering to people who don't know how to go do that paperwork themselves.
Right.
Because it's really like to file an LLC in our state is like a 5-minute form that you fill out with basic information. And there are some right and wrong ways to do it, but just starting out, like you're not going to mess it up very difficult.
Yeah.
Like it's really only comes super important when you're on a large company and you got partners and boards and all that kind of crap. But sole proprietorship, just you can go file an LLC in our state for like $150, and you really only need a local occupational license outside of that with your local county or city that you're in, depending on your codes. And then depending on your line of work, maybe some insurance. Probably some insurance, but sometimes that's really not as expensive as you think. I know Emily was really surprised.
So, and look specifically for what you're doing. because a lot of those like insurance companies, they market specific plans to cover just the bare minimum of what you would need in that industry.
Yeah.
And so we actually found a company that offers yoga insurance that still covers like all of the people that come, as well as the building. And like,
Would you say it was like $35 a month or
yeah,
some
it was
crap like that?
and then you get a discount if you pay it off in the whole
Yeah.
year. It was like, it was
It's like almost nothing.
Yeah.
So
a couple $100.
Which sounds like a lot of money, but it's really not. I think what's really been interesting for me, I know, I grew up in the church and always heard that like money's the root of all evil and the love of money is the root of all evil. And so I never really like I always wanted to be wealthy because I knew that wealth brought you things that you wanted, but I always wrestled with it. And I think that's what's been really interesting is understanding that money is just a tool to comfort. And then as you make more money, you realize how much easier it is to make more money. And so I think as we've, and look, we haven't arrived. We're not wealthy by any stretch of the imagination. We're still what I would consider middle class, but we're, I think, on the upper end of the middle class financial spectrum. But I know that I have almost become emotionally detached from money because I look at it as a tool and not something that I have to hold on to.
Yeah.
And so I think when you've not had money and you hear someone say like, oh, you just need a couple $100, that sounds like the world to you. But I promise you, man, if you take that plunge and you just start plugging away, you're going to start to realize pretty quick that you can have as much money as you want. You just got to go get it.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting to see some of these things play out. And look, Emily is still in the very early stages of that, but it's not just that. There's a lot of other things that are going on in our pipeline that have already gone on in our pipeline. There's financial things that we don't even talk about with people, but I think one of the cool things that we see is that there's all these people we're talking to that have had these grandiose ideas and visions for so long, and they've been listening to the podcast, and there's been several people that have reached out to us. It's been really cool and said, hey, like, look, I'm doing it. Now's the time. Thank you for telling me to get off the fucking couch and to jump off the cliff and go do it. Now's the time. So if you're listening to this and you've been on the fence about that thing, go get it, man. Stop waiting. There's not going to be a better time. There's not going to be more money. If you got to go out and bootstrap and fucking, like, I don't know, go knock on some doors and give people your business cards. And, we got a buddy that's starting a exterior cleaning business, and he's been out knocking on doors, talking to people, trying to get business. And he hasn't even bought equipment yet. So you need to be hungry for it because nobody's going to want it for you. So.
Well, and it's crazy because we've done all the research, right? And we've kind of been putting boot to the ground and walking these things out. So when you early on in our podcast, we started talking about these things that shape our home, and we called them our non-negotiables. And they were our pillars that we have founded our family on, our marriage on, and our livelihood on in so many ways. And
is that episode 3? Is that where that started? It's like episode 3 through 7 or 8.
Episode 4
through 8, 4 through 9.
4 through 9.
So episode 4 through 9, you can listen to those. It's all the non-negotiables in our household.
So, and I will admit that I've actually gone back and re-listened to them. I was like, I need to remember that.
Yeah. Well, and you have to remind yourself about it sometimes
like,
because it takes persistence for it to become a habit and repetitive and just the nature of your house, So there are things that bear repeating. And so it's been really cool just seeing all the stuff play out. So one of the things we want to tell you guys about is I'm actually starting a business too. I've been in home sales for a long time, and one of the things that I'm pretty guilty of in in-home sales is killing time between appointments and not going out and in sales. They say you should be, if you're not prospecting out making money, you should be prospecting, or you should be doing an income producing activity. And so I'm really guilty of just sitting in my car, playing on my phone between appointments, or, shopping or whatever that looks like. So, you have to excuse me. I've got the very onset of a stuffy nose tonight. So, so a couple months ago, I was like, well, I don't want to just sit around and do nothing anymore. I'm going to get on Uber and just network. Like, I'm just going to go out and just use Uber to network and meet people.
Not for the sake of Uber, like
Yeah.
not to bring in income from Uber. It was really just to meet people.
It was really just like, hey, I can get somebody in my car and isolate them, and they've got to have a conversation with me. I like to talk to people. I like to learn like the why behind your story, what you've done, who you are, where you're going. And give me a lesson. I want to learn from you. So, it was really cool. I had a couple prospects that were just interested in solar, and picked up this guy one day over in St. Augustine, and just start talking about connecting on lead and connecting to share customer basis, because he's in the mortgage industry, and it crosses in the home services industry. And just said, hey man, if you want to connect, I'll do some commission splits with you to get some access to your customers. And so we set up this call, and we were going to meet and talk through this. And by the end of the call, we're talking about starting a solar company. And so here we are. A couple weeks later, it's been about 2 months that all this has been in the works. It was right before Christmas.
Yeah. I think you had the first initial call in November.
Yeah.
So
No, I think it was right at the beginning of December, middle of December, sometime in there. But so it's been a little over a month. But all the pieces in place, LLC signed. We rented an office this week. I own a fucking company. So if you'd have asked me 9 months ago, I was going all in on the podcast, and that's what we were doing. But God dropped an opportunity in our lap that we could not refuse. So here we are plugging away. We're going to make it work.
So, and he dropped that little tidbit. We're not going anywhere. We're still going to have the podcast.
Yeah, no, we're not. Yeah, we're not going anywhere. We're doing both.
That's not one of our big announcements.
You guys are fired.
So we'll still be here. But it's been really fun and interesting to watch the pieces kind of fall into place, because we know the psychology, we know the pieces, we've gleaned the information from the dozens and dozens and dozens of books that we've read. Like, once you start moving, it's this trickle down effect. And we read it so many times, we heard so many stories, and we're like, yeah, that's not really how that works.
Yeah, well, we read in all these books, like there's multiple books that have just made this statement that, like, listen, if you just go out and do it, it'll fall into place. Everything will happen. It'll show up. The offer's there. The yes is there. The money's there. Just go find it. Just get up and go do. Right. And so that's what we did. And we're going to keep doing.
Yeah. We're not stopping.
Yeah. Don't miss, the doing's not done. There's still a lot more doing to do. But in our, I don't know, how do you, in our, pursuit of better showed up.
Yeah. In abundance.
So, it's been really cool. It's really been there's been a couple of cool God moments, and that things have just kind of like plucked and fell into place. And I think that, you have to look at it and see God's hand in it, because it's been really cool. So, and it's been so, I met a total stranger that I'm going into business with. It's been 100% a fluid transaction. It's not been coarse, or everybody tells you not to go into business with a partner, but like, it feels like a good marriage.
Yeah.
Because that's what business partnership is. It's a marriage between two people, really. Because there's a lot of back and forth and emotion, and anytime money's involved, things get interesting between two people.
Yeah.
But I can honestly say that I'm really blessed to have a partner that I think adds a lot of the values in my deficits. And so I think it's going to be really good.
Well, and recognizes the value that you bring to the table.
For sure.
So it's been a huge answered prayer on my part, because that's been my prayer for my husband for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to watch the pieces kind of move across the chessboard. So
go do the fucking thing.
Go do it.
Stop waiting.
So, and speaking of doing the thing, for years.
Don't tell them that we did that thing all week. Listen, that's not appropriate. We already had the sex episode, Emily.
For years,
She's just going to bypass right
I
over
am.
it.
I'm just going to walk right over it. I have wrestled with writing a book, and I've been told, oh, you should write a book. You should write a book. You should write a book.
Yeah.
And I have several books that are actually in the process, but I have one that's been
It's almost done.
almost done. All the illustrations have come back. We're in the publishing stage. So it's a children's book. And hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, I will have all of the information.
Don't give them too much information on it. That's all the info they get.
That's all you get.
That's all you get.
So, but it's exciting. Again, it's all of these little things when you do a little step at a time. And it's, it's not a grand thing. It's not, years and years of research and a doctorate, but it's important, and it's the legacy that we're leaving behind for all of our kids.
Well, it's really cool. It's a book that you wrote for the kids.
It is.
So it's going to be something they get to cherish. And have you finished your cover yet? Is the cover done?
Cover's done.
Maybe we can do a cover release on Instagram or something.
Maybe.
Pick a date. We'll tell you the date in the next episode of when the cover release is.
So it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking.
Emily is terrified.
I am.
Well, can we back up and unpack that a little bit? Because it's very much been a trend in you jumping off the cliff. There's been a lot of fear.
Yeah.
Right? But I think it's something to point out that it's not unnormal. It's not abnormal to be scared when you're trying something new.
Yeah.
You got to give yourself permission to fail though, right? Because that's what the failure's about. It's like, what if I do this and nobody listens to this fucking podcast? What if I do this and nobody reads my book?
Nobody buys the book.
What if I do this and nobody shows up to my yoga class? What if I do this and nobody buys my solar systems? There's fear rooted in all of those decisions, but I think you have to come to the point that you're like, no, fuck that. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to kill it. Watch me. Right. And it's a non-negotiable. You're going to win, because the only way that you lose is if you quit.
Yeah.
And so take the fucking jump. Stop standing on the edge of the cliff, looking at the bottom of the ravine, hoping you don't go splat.
So no splatting.
No splatting. So I'm really excited for you. I'm really proud of you. I know that it's been a labor of love. It's been really enjoyable to watch her pore over the pages of this book and meticulously, just scrutinize the copyright that she's doing and just man, is this the right word, or do I need to change this? It's been really cool. So, and the illustrations turned out phenomenal. We had a really awesome girl from our old youth group that illustrated the book for us, and super, super excited to highlight her work in that. It's been really cool.
Yeah. So, and again, watching all of the things kind of fall in place, you start, it's just this trickle down effect. And once you start, everything it just starts rolling faster and faster and faster as you kind of pick up momentum. So it's just not losing yourself in the momentum at the bottom of the hill. Don't splat.
I think anything you do is going to have peaks and valleys, right?
Yeah.
And so it's reminding yourself that when you're in the valley, there's a new horizon at the top of the fucking hill, and you just got to get there.
Yeah.
And you don't quit when you're at the bottom, right? You just don't quit. You just keep going. So say one more,
Yep.
So Ed Milet tells that story about his dad. If you've not read One More by Ed Milet, it's amazing
book.
read.
Good book.
But his dad was an alcoholic, and he finally got sober, and he said, "Dad, are you going to stay sober forever?" And Ed's dad said, "Well, I can't promise you forever, but I promise that I'll stay sober one more day." So just go one more day and just don't fucking quit. So, not my story. Copyright Ed Milet. Check his podcast out. I didn't steal that shit. I give credit. So. He's a good dude. We love him. We got to see him at MDM this year. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Excuse me.
No, you're good. Sorry that you're not feeling as hot.
It's weird. I don't really feel horrible. I just kind of have this little weird cough and a kind of like a puffy throat, and my throat doesn't even hurt. It's just congestion and I don't know. It's like allergy season, I suppose, coming into spring.
Well, it's been really windy.
It has been really windy here.
I'm sure that's playing a part too.
We lost our canopy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So. A big outdoor tent that we have all of our
tractors and everything under, just done.
Yeah. The whole thing just kind of collapsed on itself.
20 by 40. It's huge. Done. So fun stuff. But anybody want to donate a canopy to the Derek's homestead?
But our final announcement is regarding our podcast. And while we're not going anywhere.
It's our big announcement. Don't just spill it. You got to tease them.
Okay. Tease.
You got to keep them on simmer. Let's just sit here in awkward silence for a few minutes. Shh. All right, that's enough.
Have you guys seen all of the posts on the Derek's Live page? All of the posts about our episodes, all of the illustrations and
yeah, so we actually posted a question of the week, the dare of the week this week. So we dared you to take a challenge to kiss your spouse and be intentional with them. Posted this not tonight, so start that Wednesday morning after you listen to this podcast. Will come out Wednesday morning. Make sure you start that this week, and we challenge you to just go above and beyond with your spouse this week. Give them a little bit of tongue action and squeeze the booty, and just let them know that you really are feeling it right now. Just love them.
So, and watch for more posts and comment. If you see something, we'd love to get your feedback on anything that you see on our page.
For sure.
So
are we going to tell them now?
Go ahead.
Oh, I don't want to tell them. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. So, we started this thing. We were on, what episode are we on? 20?
Yeah.
So we're 20 episodes in, and we really didn't know where we were going to begin with. And I think we've said this a couple of times. We just really knew that we had to do something, that we were pulled towards this, and we're like, all right, let's just start it. And we thought we kind of had a little bit of a blueprint that was written in pencil, and boy, did we screw that one up. So,
well, I don't think it was screwed up. I think it just needed some focus. We needed to hone it in a little bit.
Yes. So it is getting honed. Well, honing is like making bigger, right? My brother's an engine builder, so when you hone something, you actually take material off of it. We're not honing. We're focusing.
Well, when you hone, don't you hone like knives?
That just means make straight when you hone a knife, I think. I guess that's what honing is making something straight.
You're just taking all the stuff that doesn't belong out.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is what we're doing.
I like to get into semantics. If you can't tell, it pisses Emily off. If you could see the eye roll.
I will get the thesaurus and the dictionary out when we're done.
So where were we going with that? We got to this point last time.
Well, we're talking about where we're going with the podcast.
Yeah.
And so we started off and we didn't have an exact direction of what we wanted. We knew we wanted to talk about family. We wanted to talk a little bit about our homestead. We started talking about church and all of the drama that happened there.
Yeah, I actually took an episode down. Episode 2, if you're wondering, is MIA because it was an episode about church, and everybody was like, hey, is this going to be a church podcast? Because I don't really want to listen to a church podcast. So after that one, I was like, no, we're gonna pull that episode off.
So, and we don't have anything against church and where you're at. That's not what the podcast is about.
Yeah.
And we want there to be some direction, as to what we're doing and why we're doing it and the direction that we're moving. And as we kind of poured into it and we spent the time studying each other and studying what we have and how we help other people, it was very clear that a lot of our time is spent helping marriages and helping parents.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been really weird for us because even early on in our marriage, people came to us to talk to us about their marriage or their children, even before we had kids.
Yeah.
And I think it was because we were children's ministers. That was part of it, but marriages specifically. So one of the things that, we're really focusing in on is that parenting, married life aspect. And so where Emily's going with this is just over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be rebranding the podcast. Because look, a lot of you guys know us that are listening already. Some of you don't, and we appreciate you being here on either side of that. But if you search parenting in the podcast store, we want our podcast to show up, and parenting has to be in the title for that. So we're really going to focus and narrow in really heavily on that parenting and marriage discussion.
So, and tips and tricks on all kinds of different things, because you have to remember that while we've got a 2-year-old in our arms, we also have a 26-year-old that's out in the world.
She can be here this weekend. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're gonna meet the boyfriend for the first time. Oh, I'm excited.
So,
and we did it kind of backwards. So we started with teenagers and grew them up into adults and then started over with babies. So we have a very interesting perspective.
It's a very unique perspective on parenting.
So it's not one that a lot of people have experience with.
Yeah.
And then combine that with all of our years in ministry and, you know, growing up the way that we did, it adds an interesting dynamic, I think, to the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hope that you've been getting some value out of the stuff that we're putting out, and I hope that you continue to stay around and listen, even if you're not a parent yet. Because listen, if you don't have kids, maybe one day you will, and you need to get ready for that. So help us name the podcast. If you got an idea for a podcast name, drop it on the social media feed, inbox us, email us at thederekslive@gmail.com. Send us a pigeon, whatever you need to do to get it to us. If you have an idea for a podcast name, hit us up. We have not settled yet on a final name, and so I'm curious to see if people have any ideas.
So I think we definitely want the word parenting or parents in there, right?
Yeah, of some type, yeah.
But probably. Outside of that, we're open. We have some ideas, and we've kind of whittled it down.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth. Like, what about this? We'll be like in the middle of the car, and I'll just be like, hey, what about?
We're cooking dinner or a number of other things. Like, oh yeah, what about this one? So, but you know, you are our listeners. If you were typing in something into the podcast search, what would you look for? What would catch your eye?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of information that we want your perspective from. And we're excited about where it's going and what it's going to mean for our audience and for our kids and for each other.
Yeah.
So we hope that we're adding value every day and every episode. We are still looking for, if you've got questions, if you've got something that you're struggling with at home, or you just want to hear someone else's perspective on it, drop us a message on any of the socials, or you can still call the toll-free number and ask us those questions, and we will do our best to put that in a podcast episode.
For sure. We, what was the question last week? We asked a question on social media earlier this week, and I don't remember what it was, but I digress. There'll be another question this week. So make sure if you see something on social, we would love for you to engage there. But if you're listening to this audio only, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be upgrading some lighting and some cameras and stuff in the studio. It looks kind of funky in here today if you're watching the video, because I just put up 2 brand new lights and none of the other lights are up because we moved them for Christmas. So we put up 2 new lights today, and we're going to be having some multiple camera stuff going on. I think we're really trying. We seem to get a lot more engagement on video, so we're going to try to really push video heavy this year. Audio only will still be around for you guys that like to listen in the car. That's where I like to listen. I'm not a big video person, but I know that a lot of people like to listen on video. So trying to make that better for you guys this year. If you have any suggestions, things you like, things you don't like, topic ideas, hit us up in the comments, emails, inbox. So we'd love to hear them. Make sure you like and subscribe. I don't know, anything else, Emily?
I don't think so.
Are we telling them to get out of here?
Yeah.
And we're done?
Jesus fucking loves you.
Yeah. Don't be making no excuses. Go chase your fucking dream. Get off the couch. Take off. I got all tongue tied. Get off the couch.
You got this.
You do. Everything you want is on the other side of that fear that you're hiding from.
Yeah.
I know that cliff looks big and scary, but staying where you are is a lot more scary. So go get it. Hey, don't forget Jesus fucking loves you.